What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 946 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Pyles, joined today by Ben Funky Askren, and to my left here in this conference room, James Dean Rader. We are still, I will call us studio homeless right now. We're just squatting wherever we can to bring you this show. Soon we will have a temporary studio, and then we will have a permanent studio sometime in the fall of hopefully this year.
Man, you should have told them you guys were moving out of the last place and they should be ready for you.
Well, they knew.
We told them world champ are homeless, and they said, "Well, you're homeless."
Yeah, because we're not world champions. So yeah, we're currently between spots, but it's fine because it doesn't really matter. We're gonna do the show one way or the other, and there's plenty to get into. We're doing the show Wednesday because Ben is going to be headed to the Cadet World Championships, where he can coach Aiden Sinclair. Before we get to all the news of today and yesterday, Ben, how excited are you for the World Championships?
I'm excited. He's our first guy to make the U17 team. You know what? Actually, I never got – this is my first Worlds because I went to the Olympics as an athlete, and then Keegan was in Russia, and that was when it was super strict Corona travel, and I didn't end up going Mitchell last year. So this is my first one, so I'm excited for it.
Outstanding. Well, excited to watch the whole team. JD, what's the schedule? When will we see our first?
So Greco's getting wrapped up today. Then women's freestyle for 3 days. Then men's freestyle for 3 days. 1 day of overlap.
I think women started already.
Yeah, it did.
Or women's started today, and it's the last day of Greco. And then men will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Women get wrapped up Friday.
Nice.
Ben's going to be battling jet lag from the corner. Is that going to impact your brick ability? Because that's important.
I'm not going to have to do much bricks. I tell them, like, listen, you guys better go take care of business because I ain't throwing no bricks.
It's buzzers.
I mean, I did hundreds of matches this spring, and I probably threw 2 bricks.
Really?
Yeah, there's just not necessary. There's so many. It's so infrequent that they overturn them. That when you're watching something, it has to be so cut and dry. Like someone steps way out of bounds and they miss it. And you know they're going to see that on the camera. So you throw the brick, right? But if it's a judgment call, like you can be upset. And like I know that they're wrong probably, and they'll probably get offended. I'm saying that, but I understand wrestling on a different level. So I know that the motion happened differently than the way they called it. I know it sounds really arrogant, Christian. I can't help it. My wife yells at me. But I know if they go review it, they're not going to change it. So why would I throw the brick anyways? So part of like brick etiquette is understanding what's going to happen when they review it. And if they're just going to say you're wrong, then why throw the damn brick? It's got to be so obvious.
It's called a self-fulfilling prophecy, Ben. You know?
No, it's not, because I'm close to 100%. And a lot of these dudes, I actually think at Fargo, now they scan your ID, you know, so they know they know like who's there and stuff. I think there should be something like you get 2 lost bricks and you don't get any more. You know, like it should come up on the profile or something like, this dude sucks. We're not letting him throw any more bricks. This guy lost 17 bricks in 3 days. He don't get no more.
Yeah, that's fair too. He's officially a time waster.
Seriously, total time waster. Like something like it, and it would. I mean, there's so many guys that in the corner they literally say, because I yell at them. I will yell at them, and it always causes issues. But I'll be like, dude, what are you doing? And they'll be like, why not? Might as well. The match is over. I'm like,
no, not might as well. Yeah, 1 brick per match is kind of insane. I'm noticing 2 things. One, you're in a tank top, which makes me wonder, after your top popping, viral image, is this going to be the new like standard uniform for FRL? And 2, your tuft is kind of growing wild.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I actually showered this morning. So Christian, even remember, I think you guys forget this. Even when I was a little heavier the last couple of summers, I only put on weight from here and below. I always kind of look good up here. So tank tops are perfect.
Perfect podcasting body.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. But are you gonna let the tuft go?
The weight only goes specifically to the midsection. That's the only place it goes.
Well, it looks like you trimmed down from then, cutting out all that ice cream. It honestly made me sad to see you in that good shape, because I knew the cost.
I don't miss it at all. I thought I was gonna miss it. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be hard, and now it's like not even hard at all.
Really?
No, not at all.
All right. At some point, maybe I'll just
So no,
try it.
back to the original question. I think I don't think I'm gonna throw very many bricks. Maybe potentially, but I think he's gonna get the job done. We're in America. I'm interested to see how much more difficult the tournament is with Russia back in it, because last year I think we kind of smashed last year.
Yeah.
We got 9 medals or something like that.
Thinking it's gonna be a little tougher.
It's gonna be a little tougher probably.
Yes. And people are asking about what AIN is. That's basically what Russia and Belarus are competing under.
Mhm.
So if you see AIN, that's what that means.
Athlete, individual, neutral.
Neutral.
I think it's independent.
Independent.
Independent neutral athletes is like their technical country. So I'm guessing some translation thing puts the A first.
Yeah.
Mm.
A is first in the alphabet.
This is true.
Maybe they just put it all abbreviations in ABC order. Okay. Enough of this. We got into this Paniro Johnson stuff. If you haven't heard, if you haven't seen, the big story right now, and we've known for a while, Iowa and Iowa State athletes, Iowa State wrestlers are involved in a gambling problem that would put them in hot water with NCAA, but it seems like it also put Paniro in some hot water with the legal system itself, with some of the bets that were made there. And of course, everyone saw the total amount, $45,000, which is just a tremendous, incredible amount of money.
Well, I was actually thinking, Christian, it might not actually be that much money, because he's averaging slightly over $30 a bet, because I think he actually had 1,300 bets or something. Like, I mean, if he's betting, say, 10 times a weekend or 15 times a weekend, and he's winning some and he's losing some, he might be, like almost breaking even.
It could be. Now, what sounds unclear or maybe uncertain is, who that account, was it his account? When did the bets happen? Because if the bets happened during his, for example, gray shirt year, then that's a different story NCAA wise. And if Paniro has another account in his name that he made a couple insignificant bets during his freshman year, it could be a different sort of penalty levied against him. But if they determine that this, so what I'm getting at is, I believe there's 2 accounts. One made all kinds of bets, including tons of bets during his gray shirt year. And it's unclear who exactly that account may or may not belong to.
What? Wouldn't you have to put like I would think with a betting service like that, you'd have to put an ID in.
So the big gimmick is these guys are using relatives and things like that, and not just potentially Paniro, but all these. The big thing in college is you get an aunt, you get this person or that person that's of age, and you kind of run through that account, through that name, because if you're not 21, you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're 20, you need granny or your parent or whoever to use theirs.
Which is also probably why this is taking a while, because back in May is when both Iowa and Iowa State said self-reported their violations.
And speaking with people close to the situation, it sounds like Paniro, and I don't know anything about the other Iowa State guys, and I don't know anything about the Iowa wrestlers at this point, but it sounds like a lot of the bets and wagers were maybe not for Paniro or by Paniro. But that's all sort of unclear, and the courts will have to sort that out. So it sounds to me like.
Wait, are you saying he's getting actual criminal charges, not just NCAA charges?
Yeah.
What? For what? Wait, what was the violation of Because it's not illegal.
He's not. If he was making bets when he wasn't 21.
Oh.
If he was making bets for using someone else's information and making those bets, which, and the lawyer who's not Paniro's lawyer, I don't think, was like, listen, account sharing is a very normal thing that happens. So, are they really going to crack the whip that hard on Paniro and these athletes? I don't know. But what is important to know is like there's kind of 2 things happening sort of in parallel. You've got the the actual legal proceedings, then you have NCAA, where it seems like Paniro might find himself more in trouble on the legal side than NCAA wise, because he was not an NCAA athlete at the time of potentially the time of many of these wagers. So I don't know what they'll be having to levy the suspension soon for all of these guys, because football starts in like a month. So we should have all the names and all the suspensions here before too long.
Why can't you gamble when you're 18? Seems like a dumb rule.
It really does seem dumb.
Some places you can. Shout out Minnesota.
This guy knows all the spots.
Okay. I mean, well, obviously, I understand being in a casino because they serve alcohol. They don't want people under 21. I actually did not know sports betting online was you weren't able to do if you were under 21. I figured it was the alcohol thing at the casinos that they didn't want minors in there.
Actually, maybe I don't know about sports games in Minnesota. I know you can go into casinos in Minnesota at 18. Because we used to drive up when we turned 18 in Iowa.
This dude. This guy had all kinds of accounts in the Nebraska Carney. Don't implicate yourself, JD.
Fifth.
Yeah, fifth. So we'll see. There are other wrestlers that are going to be named soon that I think are more likely to have heavier penalties
for NCAA.
Wow. More wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. But for Iowa State, they're not impact guys right now. They're not starters. So
got it.
But it does sound like the Hawkeyes day is coming here too, and it sounds like it could be really, really ugly for them.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Everything I'm hearing it's bad, but we won't know until it comes out officially.
This is kind of taking forever, Christian. I mean, you guys first brought this up like, I don't know, 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
It's like right after NCAAs or right around the US Open. So one thing to know, if you bet on your institution, it's going to be like an automatic year. And so if you bet on the Iowa State football game, which I know some athletes did on Iowa State, is what I'm told, then they're going to lose a year. And so if Hawkeyes did that, it sounds like there's kind of no exceptions. You're going to lose a year for that. So big potential problem, but at this point we don't know that for sure.
And you say that you can't bet on your own institution. In the report, it did say Paniro Johnson placed 25 bets on Iowa State athletics, but if that occurred during his gray shirt year when he was not enrolled, that's why he might not lose any eligibility.
Yes. Yeah.
I think, can I rephrase the rule? I think the rule should be very simple. You cannot bet against your institution.
Pete
if
Rose.
You bet for them, you think they're going to win? Let's go. You should. That's called school pride. Let's say like, JD, you're a Hawkeye. I think we're going to whoop your butt.
Motivation.
$50, bro. $50. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Who hasn't done that?
Me.
Yeah, right. You were betting on Buffalo Gap. I don't even know what the rival school was. You're like, hey,
Riverhead.
Buffalo Gap's going to smash you guys. Let's bet on it.
That'd be fun. I definitely would have if that was. We don't have a lot of illegal gambling in Swope.
Who is Buffalo Gap's rival? I got to know this.
Riverheads. Hate Riverheads. Horrible school.
Is that the name of a high school or that's their mascot?
No, Riverheads is the name of the high school. It's like, it's where the heads of the river meet. They're this terrible.
There's multiple heads of a river in this place?
I don't know. You know what? You don't want to get into the geography. We've got an entire gap filled with beautiful buffalo. They've got, water. They're the gladiators. Not what?
Romans. Okay. Good one. It's a tough name.
Really, really sad school. Very, very unfortunate.
Holding that grudge.
Oh,
years later.
I literally, it's so funny because like they were red, and I just, from a child, you're like, you just don't like red. You're black and gold, and then my son's favorite
Crip.
I'm basically a Crip, and so here's a twist. My wife's first job was teaching band at Riverheads, and it was brutal, but only 1 year, and that was terrible. And then she left, and then eventually she or my son's favorite color was red, and I had to explain to him how I had a hard time with that. I had to come to accept it. So yeah.
The rivalries run deep in the
Oh
Shenandoah Valley.
my gosh. Yeah. I mean, my dad went to Buffalo Gap. It's just
you guys ever read that book about oh no, I'm gonna totally blank. I'm gonna get it close though. The Appalachian Mountains had all these feuds, and it was like in the culture where they all just kill each other over small things.
Yeah, so now all we have is like the football and wrestling match. So it's just constant.
No more killing.
Yeah, it's just in our blood to be to have bitter rivals with our neighbors. Anyway, I'd love to throw a 50-piece down on the Bison back in the day or right now. So anyway, we're still waiting to hear all the fallout. For Paniro, what'll be, if he loses a year, he can redshirt, next year, but you can't just redshirt away. Like you're gonna lose. It's like a Metcalf lose a year of eligibility thing.
I can't believe I didn't realize Paniro actually gray shirted his first year. I thought his first year was just a normal red shirt.
No,
interesting.
So he gray shirted, but for if hypothetically some of these Iowa guys are seniors, they're just going to be done if they bet on the Iowa State or if they bet on their institution. So still a lot to shake out there, and it'll be more easy to talk about. There's plenty I'm not saying right now because I don't want to, yeah.
Oh man, more? You're withholding information from us?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll tell you. See, I
believe you.
Dan gets mad that he thinks I keep secrets from him, but sometimes I tell him things and it comes out on FRL and before it's time. So,
okay.
But if you just have to explicitly say to Ben, this is triple cone of silence.
That's what I need. Because if you don't say that's the way I live my life. I don't have very many secrets. If you don't tell me the secret, I don't know. Yeah.
He doesn't know. So shame on me. So I'll tell you before you go.
Remember when now we can talk about it since it's out. Who's number one? You guys just announced it, who's September 2nd and UW Parkside. That one day, I accidentally said it like such an idiot. And I'm like, September 2nd. I'm like, oh, damn, I shouldn't have said that. And then Shane goes, yeah, it's in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, it was quite a 1-2 punch from my Wisconsin friends. They just let's just blow up.
This so bad.
It was so funny because you're like, it is September 2nd. I was like, we haven't announced that. You go, but it is in Arizona State, right? I was like, we haven't announced that yet either. And but it is on September 2nd.
At UW Parkside, that's where I was broadcasting from on Monday, and you guys had not announced it when we were talking on Monday.
Wow, irony. Yeah, it's very excited for that. I mean, we're gonna have some AWA guys in there potentially against each other. It sounds like, which is very, very exciting. And well, this was it was your suggestion when I called you afterwards to explain what happened with who's number one. You're like, hey, can we host it? And then boom, Ben helped make it happen. Shout out to the Becker brothers. And now
shout out, they're great.
We're coming to Wisconsin. Very excited for that.
How long until you guys start announcing matchups? Because that is some people's favorite event of the year. It's such a fun event.
Soon. I'm sure we'll announce some this week.
Sweet.
Yep. Very, very exciting. David Bray's all over it. His phone line has been
his hotline's been blinging.
Yeah, hotline bling for sure, Ben.
Are you two on?
Before we move on from the gambling stuff, I want to say this is a witch hunt. These guys did nothing.
Yeah, go JD.
They didn't hurt anybody. They weren't. They didn't assault anybody. They didn't rob anybody. All they did was have a little fun in the privacy of their homes.
Yes.
Bunch of busybody bureaucrats, nothing better to do. Mind your own business. Aren't there bigger problems in the world than someone throwing down a 50-piece on the Cyclones or the Hawkeyes? Who gives a rip?
Unless you're betting on yourself to lose or someone to lose because you know the hurt. Now, that could be an issue. I see that. But bet on your team all you want. Let's go.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I mean, they were able to get access to these guys' literal online accounts and see all of their bets.
Mm-hmm.
So they can tell if they did that, and it doesn't sound like anybody did.
Yeah.
If anything, they were betting on the on the Cyclones.
Whatever happened to root for the home team?
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. School
Well,
prize is a
and
good
verse
thing.
2 is bet on the home team. And if they don't win, it's a game.
Stop.
The Iowa State starting quarterback, he was betting on Iowa State football while he was a member of the team.
What a beast.
Good for him. That
Bonus
means he
point.
believed in
No,
himself.
but
That's
actually,
what we
the
want
NCAA
athletes
should
to do.
suspend him. He sucks. So the NCAA would be doing Iowa State a favor if they
But
suspend
no,
Becker.
JD, you're wrong. If he bet on himself and he lost, he already suffered enough.
Yeah.
Lost money.
Iowa State probably covered the spread. Probably lost. But covered.
Here we go. JD definitely bet on this game, for the record.
JD might have been their bookie for all we know.
I'm glad Kearney Athletics is not in many sports books nationwide, because otherwise we could be finding ourselves sometime down the line. I feel like you'd be right at front and center at some sort of scandal with Kearney.
Iowa State athletes, talk to me privately.
Whoa, okay. This guy knows some loopholes. So I was at the NWCA coaches convention. Great time. Got to catch up with a lot of coaches. Got to hear a lot of different stuff, plans for the future. I'll just kind of give you the rundown, and feel free to stop me as I'm going, Ben. But a couple of the topics of discussion. One, a lot of support for shifting the season to start later and end later. They did a kind of an informal poll there, and probably 95% of the coaches wanted it to start later, like mid-December and end late April.
What would
That's
be
with so I talked to actually Nick Becker about this. He said but the competitions don't start till after New Year's, correct?
Okay.
That was his understanding, was that season starts in December, but competitions are early January, and then I think it was second week in April was NCAAs or something like that.
Something like that. That sounds right. It's very possible I just didn't catch it, but that very well could be the case.
So what do you feel? I'm totally in for that. I mean, the big negative here that people are gonna be upset about is it is going to, our U20 team and our US Open guys who want to go wrestle freestyle. That's kind of going to be an issue now.
So
you have to move the US Open at that point, right?
100%. So they talked about this extensively. My opinion is this is a non-issue to me. 100 USA, and I think they do a good job. They get their teams early, generally. Yeah. Senior World Team is set the first week of June, and they compete in like mid-September. So I think there's room for all of that to be slid back considerably, and without major issue. Now, it would be a complication for sure for USA Wrestling, and they would have to navigate it. But I don't feel like the timelines are going to be so compressed that it's not doable. Like they would have to move some things around.
The other thing I was thinking here, Christian, more, and this would be more for the senior team, because I think the U20s, maybe you should definitely move that back. And maybe put alongside the U23s or something for the senior level. Maybe you could have the top two previously at NCAAs have qualified for the trials, and then you could also wrestle potentially in some fall events, Bill Farrell or something to that effect if you're an athlete who wants to qualify for the trials. But man, if you're finishing 7th place at the NCAAs, I don't want to be offensive, but you're probably not a factor in the World Team Trials.
Sorry if that's offensive. So I don't think it's a big deal to move it. I mean, you could still do U17 trials in late April if you really wanted to, because there's no impact there. I'd be sort of annoyed to go straight from NCAAs to U17s just because we don't really get to build it up the way we would normally. Yeah. But the bottom line is, if they do it, and who knows if they will, I feel like change can come pretty slow in the sport. But then again, we had pretty radical rules changes this year, so maybe that tide is changing a little bit. But I think if they do decide to do it, USA will be able to acquiesce with minimal, impact on how we're picking our teams, et cetera. So I don't think that's the biggest deal. I would like to see it. I like shifting those schedules. I think it'd be good for everything.
Yeah.
So,
One of the things I was thinking too is, when and this is not a complaint of mine, but this is a complaint of many, is that the season is too long. So I thought like it seems if you're going like say January 1 of start of competition to mid-April, that's kind of like the same length. Like you're not really shortening it all that much, maybe a tiny bit. You could almost if you really want the championship to be mid-April, you can almost push the start date even back a little further, to mid-January-ish.
yeah, yeah, that's not. I mean, and just because you can compete on January 1 doesn't mean they will. Look at November. A lot of these teams in November don't start. Some teams don't even compete in November at all. So,
Really, it feels like everyone does at least a couple matches. They may not do a bunch, but feels like everyone will throw a duel in there or something to that.
yeah, a duel, or maybe they'll send some guys to an open. But
yeah.
Now, that rule wouldn't be able to take place until like 2027, correct?
Because they have like
Hosts
yes,
designated through 2026.
What?
that's true. So yeah, it's not something that can happen in the near future, right?
It's a long time away.
It's a long time away, but it'll be here before you know it. I feel like time moves fast.
Time marches on.
It do. Okay, other notes. One, there is maybe potentially some momentum / interest in a postseason national duels 2 weeks after the NCAA tournament. The big question, it's a lot of the power programs would be in, but the two that really hold, so much power, Penn State and Iowa, are the ones that need convincing. And so that would be huge if it happened. Obviously, we would thoroughly support that and love to see a dual championship. I think it'd be great. I'm just sort of naturally dubious of any kind of radical change occurring and like wrestling getting on board with it. But if it happens, I would love to see it.
Well, first, it wouldn't be for an official NCAA trophy, correct? Because
they
only give out one like set of team trophies.
One less trophy now.
Yes, one less trophy. We'll get to that.
Christian, I texted
So it
you
would
on
still
this.
be like a participation thing. Like it would be a very cool national duel event.
Yep.
But not quite as it wouldn't be as big of a deal, in my opinion, with no official.
But it'd be if you have the right teams, it would be a huge deal.
Huge deal, right? But like when there's no,
bro, I think it could be
NCAA
massive.
team championship attached to it.
I think it could be absolutely huge. If the teams are involved, it could be huge, absolutely huge.
You also need to do it not 2 weeks after the season.
But for real though,
I think they would.
How they get 4 million from them trophies? How much they?
All right, we're switching topics. We're getting to the this did steam me. Well,
That's why I want to know the math. Give me the math.
I'm trying to get to it, but I'm sitting on, and I also need to explain to people what I'm talking about first, Ben.
Okay.
So you go to all these sessions, right, where they talk about, there's one session about NIL, there's a session about, the schedule, and there's one about the NCAA championships. And so I go to a bunch of these, and I go to that one, and they say, hey, we're getting rid of the 4th place team trophy in all individual sports. And there's also some these regionals. We don't have regionals in Division I wrestling, but there's things called regionals where they're giving out trophies, and they're minimizing what the physical trophies are giving out for that. And then the stated figure of the savings was $4 million. And so that's just what they said. And now listen, everyone kind of like chuckled at that figure because it just doesn't make it. So I just tweet that out. I just figured it out. And then it's like I gave that figure. It's like, no, I'm just saying what was said. I'm not saying I really believe that these trophies cost $4 million.
Well, but no, I don't. Listen, they might. The NCAA is a bureaucratic institution. They might just be saying like, "Here's $100,000 a trophy" or something crazy like that.
It's like, I don't know if you guys watch Arrested Development, but it's certainly one of the funniest shows ever. And there's this rich family, and the mother, Lucille, has never shopped or anything. She's like, it's a banana. What could it cost? $10? And so anyways, that's how I feel like it could be the NCAA budgeting for trophies. But I I was less focused on the absurdity of that figure because it's sort of irrelevant. The NCAA's decide they don't want to do it, so that's the main thing, and more focused on the loss of that bar for achievement for a team, and I felt like that's what stinks. And I like that we rewarded those 4 teams, and it's not going to take away the difficulty required to be a top 4 team, but that they don't get the shine, or even to like bring back to their school, and their school that maybe doesn't pay all that much attention to the sport, be like, wow, we got an NCAA trophy. I think that does have meaning, and I don't think it minimizes the difficulty just because the NCAA is an inefficient organization when it comes to like something like this, that they're spending $4 million on it. So it's disappointing because I don't know. I love that how much do we talk about the trophy race? How often is that a topic of discussion? How many teams are just vying for that top 4? It's like, okay, yeah, you want to win. Okay, well, we have a team for that. And there's other accolades that can be given out and that are worth celebrating. And I don't like that we lost one of those. I think it's disappointing.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Maybe we just celebrate top 5 now. I mean, top 5. I always think it's funny, like, say with All-Americans or, like, or the Olympics. The Olympics is you get 1, 2, and 3 medals, and that's it. So you celebrate the top 3.
That's 4.
Yeah, I'm not counting that, JD. It's called bronze. That's the top 3.
I mean, there are 4.
Anyway.
There are 2 bronzes. I'm just saying.
Okay, which bronze?
There used to be only 6 All-Americans at the NCAA wrestling tournament, right? So he celebrated the top 6, and it was probably a big deal to go from 7th, right, the 7th, 8th place match to the 6th place match, because then you were an All-American. And now there's 8, right? So that blood round match is a really big one to get in the top 8. So yeah, it is kind of arbitrary where we select to celebrate accomplishments. So I think here at Flow, we can just celebrate the top 5. Because listen, if you're a top 5 team, that's pretty good. It's a nice round number. 4 was weird anyways. Why did we pick 4? I don't know. I say we celebrate the top 5.
Yeah.
Top 8 All-American teams?
Yeah, All-American teams.
Let's give them a trophy. Flo can make the 4th and 5th place a trophy.
You think we have $4 million to throw around?
Yeah, we don't have $4 million just to
Bro, listen, those trophies probably cost like $400. They're just wasting money.
Man, I was thinking on the right, if they just got Seth Mendoza to make their trophies, that guy's an expert woodworker. He could throw in some American flag stuff. I don't think he'd do it for, I think he'd do it for $100,000, no problem.
Yeah. Well, and think about it. I mean, FloWrestling is only providing trophies for 2 teams, right? Because you guys are wrestling only. You can make it $400 a piece. That's $800. I think you're good.
Yeah, we could put a little, I don't know. We could have some fun. It could have a little projector on it,
Yeah.
We could get all kinds of technology.
I think you get a nice trophy for $400.
Oh, snap. The light cut off. I don't know if they're motion detected. You just want to just hit the button. I didn't think
you guys keep looking on the back. Are these glass panels? I can't actually tell that much with the light.
Yeah. So around here, like someone like Kozak walked by and flexed, and
Sion, where's Sion?
Sion, Sion is preparing for a trip to Hawaii.
Sion might still be in Florida.
No, he came back.
He always goes there with I think he goes with Brian Stith and Anthony Robles, right?
He'll be there. He's staying with Grant Nakamura.
I think those guys all go together. Little crew.
Okay. They go together.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not in. But I feel like we're gonna have a lot more Sion drop-ins now that we're moving our studio operations to Congress.
You guys might need to invest in a security system.
Yeah, for sure. I had good locks at Springdale installed that were Sion proof, which you need powerful locks for that guy. But here it's low security. So
the bait though. Just put the Slim Jims on the other side of the building.
Yeah.
Don't spend all his time over there.
Ben, when's the last time you had a Slim Jim? A real one, not some fancy one.
I don't know, 30 years. Those things look
cool. 30 years.
I don't know. I try to buy the real beef. If I'm going to buy a piece of beef jerky, I want real beef.
That. I don't know. I tried to make him not say it. He had to say it. I have an elk Jim, something like that.
What?
Slim Jims are delicious, and I don't care if they're
they're probably like pig balls and cow buttholes and stuff.
Would that be the worst thing?
Yeah,
delicious.
Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys might like those. I'm not a fan.
I can't say I've tried
They eat
those.
hot dogs. Who knows what's in there?
Okay. What else happened in there? Brian Smith, probably one of my favorite interviews. He just kind of gets you fired up a little bit. This dude just loves coaching. He wants to coach forever. He wanted to be a coach since he was 5 years old. Just
He told me he was retired for like the last 10 years. He might never retire.
these guys ain't retiring. He loves it. That'd be man. Who would man? I don't even want to think about this. Like who would take over
Kendrick.
Missouri if Brian Smith stepped down?
Hi, Kendrick. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
He did a good job. And that's kind of like Mark Manning. Mark Manning is the same thing. Like I feel like Mark Manning was. Don't get mad at me, Mark Manning. I thought he was old when I was in college. He might not have been. I don't even know how old he is, but he feels like he's been there forever.
I feel like these guys they don't age. They've just been the same age. Like Brian and Mark Manning. It's just like they look the same that ever since I've been watching. It's like,
Yeah.
Ageless individuals.
When did Mark go full Silver Fox?
That was recent.
He had a little. That was a very recent.
That was recent.
Yeah, but it was already so light. It was almost indistinguishable. I thought the first time I saw it, I thought he dyed it because it was like white. I was like, oh my gosh, he dye it blonde, like a Ric Flair look. But no, we're all aging. I have some grays in there. It's okay. Do you have any gray hair, Ben?
Don't have any gray hair yet.
Not yet. That's why he cuts that tuft. That's his gray hair.
I don't like it in front of my face. It drives me crazy.
It's all concentrated there. Okay. I'm trying to think if there are any other takeaways from the convention. They may come to me, but those were a lot of the topics of discussion.
I heard this is how takedown is.
Oh yeah, 3. I figured
with the thumb and the two.
I think you got to get the thumb involved because if it's like this, it looks too much like the 2. So 3. This is kind of a challenge for a lot of people because, yeah, okay, no, I can do it. All right, keeping that ring finger down, it's not the easiest. The officials are gonna have to get hazard pay keeping that. Yeah, because look, a ring finger.
Well, the gotcha is how you do back points.
Yeah, I like that.
I guess you don't do that
Well, yeah, I guess not.
anymore.
They used to.
Oh
do
no,
that.
they got it back now.
Well, yeah, now it's back.
We didn't mention it, but I want to mention it. And I did not watch any whole matches. I'll come clean, but I did watch a lot of flow highlights. The Rainey brothers. I complimented the one after Fargo about just like the feel of he hit and all the scrambles that he had. But I can't really tell them apart. The other Rainey brother, who's wrestling at the World Championships, I mean, his feel in some of those Greco scrambles was really, really tremendous. I was really impressed. There's one where he went for a headlock and then he like hipped backwards into the guy to knock him over. It was like, wow, that took some serious feel. So these guys are impressive, really, really impressive. And I don't think we win a lot of Greco world titles at the cadet level very often.
You are correct. We do not. What do you guys do to simulate? Because you place a high value on feel.
Yeah.
How do you? A lot of things you value are not like super easy to coach or like process through. So how do you do that?
I think. I mean, I don't know how they did it, but I think for us, he's got to. I mean, like that one where Mitchell goes on his head and puts Garment. That was so ridiculous. I think it's just a lot of time spent wrestling and, feeling how bodies move and understanding how bodies move, and that's kind of in those scrambles, and you just do it over and over and over again. You feel it, and the guys who want to be good at it figure it out, and that's kind of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He never gets into the details.
Well, I could go on. I actually just went on this soapbox on my Mental Monday last week, but you could go watch that. It's on our AWA Facebook page. But I think a lot of especially at a higher level, right? Because they have Mitchell Messerings at a higher level, and these Rainey brothers, they're wrestling at a really high level, even though they're not very old yet. Just like doing like basic drilling, like do this move over and over and over again. I don't think there's a really high amount of value in it. Maybe sometimes if say you're getting close to competition and you want to not have an injury situation and you want to get a good cardio workout still, that would be like a time you could use it. But once you get to a high level, I think it should be almost exclusively like some type of spar feel, like 100%. And And so then you're putting yourself in these positions and you're just feeling them over and over and over again. And if you have a good partner right there giving you a good feel back, and you're trying to feel where you can exploit them, in a weakness in their defense or the way they're pressuring, and then you just kind of pick it up and you react. So I think that's a big one, is a ton of sparring. I don't know how the Rainey brothers train, but judging by the way that the results they're getting, I'd have to guess it has something in there with that.
Through that. Okay. So I haven't done questions in a while. I don't know if we want to get to some of those before we depart.
Yeah, I haven't been in the studio in forever. You guys even have a studio now.
Yeah. Ben one-ups us yet again. We're studioless.
So fun.
Okay. We'll go to some questions. This is an interesting one. And I feel like Ben is most qualified to answer it. Any coaching advice on how to help a high school wrestler who has anger problems when they lose a match?
We can strangle him.
All right.
No,
You're always
no,
thoughtful.
of course not. I think that's such an easy one. Well, first you need to make them realize how ridiculous it is that they're, say 14 through 18-year-old and they can't control their emotions. Like I would say something antagonizing, like, what are you, a 3-year-old? Like, yeah, my 3-year-old can't control their emotions. Like, you're about to be an adult and you can't control your emotions. This is utterly ridiculous. And that's kind of where I would start. But I think the problem with a lot of kids, they think there's this thing where it's like they need to show people that they care about it, right? And the way to show someone you care about something is getting mad when you lose. Like, yeah, I actually, if I'm coaching an athlete and they don't care that they lose, yeah, I don't like that at all, right? So I want them to care. I want to know that they care about it. But at the same time, they don't need to rage. Like, what is the point of that? Like, maybe a few seconds of anger and then, be done with it. But the ones that just like yell and scream and hit things or whatever, it's just like, dude, like, you're about to be an adult and you can't control your emotions. Do you realize what's going to happen in the real world to you if you act like that? Like, this is not going to be good for you. You're going to have a very, very hard life. You need to stop.
So what about a younger kid, say more like a 10-year-old?
Yeah. Well, I would start there. I would just tell them. I told there was this one 10-year-old who was he was throwing a fit. And a kid, okay, I pretty much like all the kids I coach. There's very few that I have any issues with. And if I do have issues with it, I try to get them to the point where I don't have issues with them, like by working through them, But he was throwing a fit. And I just told him, like, this is unacceptable. And if you do this again, I'm going to go tell your dad that you're not allowed to compete in wrestling matches. Like, if you're not old enough to control your emotions, then this is not going to happen. Because we're just not going to let you wrestle. It's pretty simple.
Okay.
Right? And that's honestly, that is the thing I really don't like. So my daughter wrestled her first match when she was 9, maybe just turned 9, right? So like the 8 and 9, I would say, is kind of when they're like getting a little older. But the 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, like, their ability to regulate their own emotions is, I don't want to say it's impossible. They all suck at it, It's something stupid. Okay, it's still Ozzy or Andy, something so stupid, just at home, right? I'm talking about wrestling matches. We'll get them really, really, really upset, right? So their ability to regulate their emotions when there's 50 people standing around a mat yelling, it's like almost impossible for them. So it's like, why do we even put them in that situation? And it's not necessary for long-term success. It's totally ridiculous. And then so by 8, 9, 10-year-olds, if they act like an idiot, I will literally tell them, like, and their parent probably at this time, because I'm probably not talking to the kid by himself, is like, hey, if you're not ready for this, we're not going to put you out here. Like, when you can be mature and handle your emotions and not act like a fool, then you can come back on the wrestling mat. But until then, we won't do it. I think it's that simple. And then I think most parents actually, deep in their heart, they know that. But then when a match gets really competitive, they lose track of their own emotions and they get into the winning and the losing, as opposed to the thing that's really, really important. And they can't control themselves, actually, which then obviously, kind of, it leads to this cycle where it just keeps happening until the kid's like 15, because the parent can't control their own emotions either.
Got it.
Yeah. No, but be firm. Be very, very firm on what the expectations of them are. And I think when you're firm on what the expectations are, the kids react to that.
Gotcha. Next question. That's solid. This guy, all right. top 10 best funk. You don't have to do a top 10. That's
Oh,
a lot. But who are the best funk wrestlers last 6 years?
6 years. I mean, Yanni obviously has to be in there. You know, one of the things I was thinking about this, and I was talking. You want to hear my good analogy that I've been starting using? I'm gonna do. It's my Mental Monday next week, so I don't want to give too much of it away. But I started using this new analogy, and the kid, it's really like clicking with the kids because it's so obvious. So what I'm gonna say about this category is sometimes people who do too much, who scramble a lot, who are known for their funk, right? They almost overuse it as a detriment to themselves. I mean, you guys get what I'm saying there?
Right. You
Like they're
baseline defense or offense or whatever.
yeah, they're over reliant on it. They just keep doing it. So, I would say Keegan and Yanni for sure. And I would kind of have to start piecing through the rest. But the analogy I've been using, you're going to love this, Christian. You can use this at the Outlaws. So I say, hey, Christian goes over to JD's house and he says, JD, hey, man, I gotta hit this nail in. Do you got a screwdriver for me? And then I say, JD, what would you say to Christian if he said that to you?
Say, shut up. I need a hammer.
Okay. And then Christian says, well, JD, I don't like hammers. Give me a screwdriver. I got to go hit this thing in. And then you'd be like, this dude he's really an idiot. But whatever. You're my friend, Christian. Here's a screwdriver.
Yeah.
And then Christian goes over, then he struggles, and he's probably eventually going to get the damn nail in, right? Because he's really trying.
Really
He
powerful.
gives you back, and you'd be like, what is wrong with that guy? But that's how I feel about the way some people choose wrestling tools, right? So moves are tools. And some people try to force these tools in when there's a significantly better tool that they should be putting in that situation. And so that's kind of like the one of the things I say. I led scrambling camp off of that. We just had a Funky Fresh scrambling camp. I led it off with that. And I said, one of the things that I don't like about a lot of kids that come to scrambling camp is they identify being a scrambler with like a part of their identity, as opposed to like, this is a tool that I would like to use to win more wrestling matches or make them easier, right? So like, instead of using a screwdriver to hit the nail in, you grab a hammer, right? Way better tool for that job. And then if you are going to build something, and this is, again, I don't know why it's so easy when I talk about tools versus just, it should be easy when I talk about wrestling moves. But then if I said, okay, JD and Christian want to be good at building things, it would probably be better if they had a saw and a screwdriver and a hammer and a drill, right? And they have way more tools.
Mhm.
Now, building things is surely going to be much easier than if they only had a hammer and that was all they had. It's going to be almost impossible. But that's literally how some people think about the sport of wrestling, is they want a hammer and they want to hammer everything, and that's it.
So how do you, from a technical standpoint, how do you see that manifesting itself? What are they doing instead of what they should be?
Well, I mean, obviously that same thing, I was picking on scramblers here, but it could go a lot of ways, right? So, I mean, there are some people who have no scrambling knowledge, right? So if someone gets in deep on their legs, they just fall over. Like, they're not good at it, right? Or there's some people who are terrible mat wrestlers, right? All they can do is takedowns, There's some people who have a very limited attack, right? So, like, say if I wanted to attack someone, I could do an arm drag, a snap down, a high crotch, a single leg, a low single, a double leg. Right? There's a lot I could do an underhook, a 2-on-1, but there's some people who they only have one or two of those. I mean, we're talking about high level wrestlers who only have one or two of those. And while it's important to develop those, kind of develop them further, right? You don't want to be like a jack of all trades. You want to have someone really good, but Keegan Wenzel, and this was Keegan has these tools. He just didn't choose them in the match. He kept forcing the high crotch. When he cooled down to the match and he realized, damn, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. I have other weapons. Like, that would have been a great time to say, oh, I'm trying to do something really, really hard here, and I don't need to do something hard. I can do something else, right, and make it happen. So, yeah, I think that way about a lot. There's a lot of guys who scramble too much and they've neglected their baseline defense, or they're not off. I mean, another big one is they're not offensive enough. They're really, really reliant on people attacking them. And then how that manifests itself is guys know they won't be attacked by the scrambler, and so they can just sit back and kind of pick the perfect shots, and that hurts them really bad. So that'd be one way. That was kind of a lot of wrestling stuff right there. I don't know if it hopefully at all.
Well, it is a wrestling related show, so
I don't. Maybe I feel like, and maybe this is me being crazy. I feel like number one, wrestling is hard to visualize. So when I'm talking about it, it's kind of hard to visualize for the listeners. And then number two, when I get really deep in the weeds, maybe people don't want to talk about that. Maybe they do. I don't know. You want to hear my other analogy I came up with this week that is totally insane?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have had high-level coaches tell me, college coaches, tell me something effective like, I was never very good at the technique part of it, so I just went hard. Right?
That's good.
That's good.
That's called going beast mode, Ben. Look into it.
It's not good. Okay. So you know what I
Perfect.
told my athletes? Well, I mean, because this notion is utterly ridiculous. Because it's like, well, then you're saying essentially I have the inability to learn more wrestling moves. Because if I'm a wrestling coach, the more wrestling moves I know, the better I can help my athlete win wrestling matches. But I said on the Mental Money, and I said this to my athlete. My athletes love this one. I said, Christian, you're the coach of Buffalo Gap, and JD is one of your athletes. And JD comes into your office, and you go, "Hey, JD, man, you really, you've gassed out a few matches, and you lost the match this year because you gassed out. You got really good skills, so you're winning a lot of matches, but you're definitely losing some because you're not in shape enough."
Yeah.
And then JD goes, well, Coach Pyles, getting in shape's really hard. And I just don't want to do it. So I'm going to win a bunch of matches because I got some good skills, but I'm just going to lose some because I just don't want to get in shape.
I mean, Musakayev won a world medal with it.
I know, but what would you say to him, Christian?
I'd say, bro, why? It's so simple. Just get in shape, and then you can win all your matches. Wouldn't that be nice?
But that's for me, that's the equivalent of someone saying, I don't want to learn more wrestling technique, or I don't have the ability to learn more wrestling technique. Those are like the same thing. Like you're choosing to not do something that would evidently help you because you don't want to, because it's hard, right? And in the one instance, it seems so utterly ridiculous. But in the other instance, it's almost acceptable in the wrestling community.
Yeah.
So that was I raged on that one.
100%. Yeah. I've observed similar. Okay, couple questions I'm seeing here from my Twitter feed. Tyler, our guy Tyler, is competing in the Street League in Cincinnati this weekend, and Keith Gothard wants to know if he will pin his opponent or tech his opponent next weekend.
We talked about this last show.
Well, I'll say this: he's sure as heck better because he's repping the flag, he's repping Flow, he's repping Michigan. And I don't know who will be madder, me or Coach Bourmet, if he goes out there and lays an egg. So expectations are high. Coach Bourmet doesn't want to see him sit on the lead. We're right there with him. Needs to build a lead. I saw a training session between him and Trey, our grappling guy yesterday. I think he's ready, but I'm not certain. This guy's just a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So how much can you really learn from that? So yeah, we'll see. I hope he does well.
If you guys bet on this match, that's cool. If you bet against Tyler, I think you should go to jail.
Jail. Well, I would never bet against Tyler. He is an actual, for all our jokes, he's a literal beast. He's really, really good. Very high level. So I think he will win. I hope he does.
Would have won the national tournament in 2020.
He would have. Was denied his opportunity to have a Cinderella run out of the 33 seed. Where he would have upset, the 32 seed, and then Alex Marinelli, and then who knows from there. Dang, I did not know this was a motion-sensed room until today, but apparently it is.
So annoying. Okay, you're gonna have to have some type of device that's just doing this the whole time.
Well, we're not gonna be in here, hopefully beyond this episode.
Yeah. On here, from where I'm looking, I can barely tell.
Tell what?
That the light went off.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Because it's certainly drastic here. And Bennett wants to know why we didn't try to get into Street League. Well, why would I do that? I'm not good at wrestling, so why would I wrestle? I'm 38 freaking years old.
I think you should find someone else who's not good at wrestling.
Okay, I would wrestle someone else that's not good.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, but actually probably not. Why would I do that? I would have to wrestle them first to see if I would wrestle them in Street League. JD, I don't know. JD could be scared.
I'm retired.
He's retired. Even though he didn't take his shoes off. Okay.
I will be in Tyler's corner this weekend.
You're going?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
What?
Oh, sweet. Yeah, you're gonna drill him. Have you felt him?
Yeah.
All right, he feels ready.
He's ready.
He's ready. All right. That's all I need to hear. Will we have a live studio audience for show 1000? I think this is a fun goal. I don't know how we would do it though, unless we did it.
I think we should do something like that.
We should. I want to try to do something because I know factually, and I won't say anything beyond this, but I know that show 1000 will be very, very special. And I'll just leave.
Hold on, Christian, though. Also, though, we have a live studio audience. Oh, we've never had one previous. That kind of is a setup for disaster. So, like, there should be a little bit of practice, I would think.
Practice, yeah. Maybe we'll just allow like 5 people, and that can be a live.
Sion, Bader.
No, we got basically we need to have Keith Gothard in there. The guy's been just such a loyal listener, chatter, engager.
Who's the one that's commenting right now on YouTube? It was Avery Gaming. He puts a lot of time.
Avery not allowed.
Avery's not allowed.
Avery's not
Wait,
allowed.
why not?
He's a troublemaker.
He's a troublemaker and he's a question stealer.
But you guys know this guy?
I will come out of retirement to wrestle Avery Gaming.
Wow.
You guys know him? Do you know this person?
I don't know him.
JD sounds like he does.
I only know him as Avery Gaming from the YouTube chat.
Yeah, he's the one that always wants to wrestle JD.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he is an active chatter. Okay, so yeah, maybe live studio audience. That would be kind of fun. And it's probably just like Keith and some of the people that paid their dues. We're not canceling. No, we're not canceled. But the show will change after episode 1000. So I'll say right now. It's 9:29 though, and there's a meeting in here at 9:30. So it's as good a time as ever to leave. We'll be back Monday, right?
Yep,
That's
Monday.
happening. I don't know what Ben will be doing during that time.
I was thinking I think I land at 9:55, but as you know, on some of them international flights, they schedule the time for a lot longer. I think they do this so they can be on time a higher percentage of the time. You know what I'm saying? So if I land and it's prior to 9:30, I'll flip on my phone and I'll send me the links, LJD, and I'll zoom in from live from O'Hare Airport.
You'll be back in America on Monday.
I land at 9, I think at 9:55.
Whoa,
like
that is such a quick trip to freaking Turkey.
Yeah, I told Aiden I've been traveling too much lately, and so I think they got there yesterday. So I would have had to leave like 2 days ago, and I said I've been gone too much. I can't be gone that much. I need to be a father to my children. Also, it would sometimes be easier if I just only had the wrestlers to deal with, and I didn't have my own kids. But I love my own kids, so got to be a good dad sometimes. Yeah, so I land Friday morning. He wrestles Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday morning, you get the time change coming back, right? So I think I leave there at like 7, and I land here at like 9:55.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, good. To being fathers, JD, one day maybe we'll know the power of a father.
I'm not sure if he knows how to do that yet.
Yeah, he's been. Yeah. Well, I'm going right now. Thank you guys so much. We will see you Monday. Good luck in your travels, Ben. Thank you for the nice comment, Dan Rose. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Peace.